Well, hello there, beautiful. It's Kylie Patchett here. Welcome to the Wild and Finally Pecking Free podcast. I deeply believe that the years during and beyond perimenopause are a rite of passage. All of a sudden, we find ourselves on the precipice of a life transition where our brain literally rewires and runs out of fucks to give. We find ourselves shifting identity, no longer caring what other people think, and being invited to expand into new ways of being. Here, we share the real and raw stories from women who've been through deep midlife metamorphosis, taken a leap of faith, or broken the ties that bind us in patterns of staying small, stuck, and like our needs just don't matter. This is the midlife medicine you didn't even know you needed. Stories full of joy, despair, freedom, courage, and deep self-honoring. I am so glad you found us. Welcome. Hello there, beautiful. It's Kylie here with another high quality question for you. This solo episode is all around a theme or a question that will help you to dive into, pulling 2022 to a close, setting sail or clearing the slate for 2023, getting clear on some of the rules that you've been following that may or may not be of your own choice. So my high quality question for you today is, whose rules are these anyway? Now, to think about our rules or the way that we actually live and breathe and believe life has to be for ourselves, for our relationships, for our work, for our health, our vitality, our friendships, our relationships with our children or our parents. I find it actually helpful when I'm working one-on-one with a client to go back in time to your family of origin, thinking about your family of origin being, the conventional family, conventional in inverted commas. So maybe your mom, maybe your dad, maybe siblings, maybe it could be extended family like aunts and uncles that were very present in your lives, multiple generations, so grandmothers and fathers, great-grandmothers and fathers. It can also be key caregivers. So whatever your family or caregivers of origin looks like. If I asked you to look through a whole heap of sticky labels that I've got, and I'll tell you the labels in a second. But when you think about your family of origin, imagine you can pull them all to mind. When you're looking at this set of people that made up your family / caregivers of origin, together they make what's called a system, a family system, and internal family systems, which is one of the modalities I use with my one-on-one clients and in my groups, works on a similar premise, but the family system is actually inside of us. But what I'm talking about here is the family system. So there could be sticky labels for the kids like the quiet one, or the loud one, or the sporty one, the academic one, the rebel, the golden child, the people pleaser, the good girl, the caregiver, the parent. And yes, I'm saying that very consciously. Some of us kids were trained to be very good parents when we were children. Lots and lots of different labels. And I certainly have experienced, secondhand through client sessions, many, 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 many different forms of this family system. But if you had to think about all of the different sticky labels that represent the role that you are expected to play inside of your family system, imagine the sticky notes were all out in front of you. And I asked you to pick one that best identified the role that you're expected to play in your family / caregivers of origin. And you were to pick up this sticky note. Imagine placing the sticky note on your chest, maybe your face, I don't know, wherever the sticky note feels like it wants to be. And then I want to ask you an addendum question. First of all, what does a sticky note say? My addendum question is, what other rules were you taught about what you needed to do, how you were meant to act, how you were allowed to feel when you were fulfilling this role? Now, I'll give you an example. So one of the roles that I identify with is the smart one. So I figured out pretty early in my family of origin that one of the things that came easily to me was academics. And I learnt very quickly that I got a lot of what I perceived to be love and approval if I did well academically. So I guess my initial sticky note would be the smart one. But unfortunately, what I made that mean was get the best grades, must be perfect, must not develop anything else about myself. So I feel like these labels are things that have us fixed in a role that almost doesn't allow us to develop other sides of ourselves. So if you grew up in a family, for instance, where you were the sporty one and you were naturally sporty, you played a lot of different sports, you got a lot of, approval, cheers, literally like cheering, perception of love, felt good about yourself based on your sporting prowess, you may not develop other sides of you. You may not develop, into the fullness of your academic ability or the most warm and natural people connections that you would develop into. And I actually just worked with a lovely lady at the beginning of this year, and she was from a family that worked in fashion. And when she was little, she got a lot of feedback to say that she was this beautiful, beautiful little girl. And then she grew into the beautiful teenager. And then she grew into the beautiful, 20-year-old. And when we were doing this sort of work, she's like, I never realized that my sticky note of the beautiful one or the attractive one or the fashionable one, whatever the sticky note was for her, I never realized that stopped me from seeing the fullness of myself. So it's almost like she had a single facet in her self-identity where every single one of us has multiple, many, 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 many different sides to us, and many different sides to us that, appear or come in phases and then, disappear. Those seasons of us, the things that interest us and then no longer interest us, the roles that we want to play and then the roles that we don't want to play. So for me, the sticky note that said the smart one actually felt like it led to the story of having to get everything perfect. So my husband loves to tell people that I once did this accreditation for a coaching modality, and one of the key, what are they called, assessments was an online assessment, and you needed to get 85 out of 100 to pass. And I got 92, and he's like, yay, that's great, awesome, well done. And I'm like, no, I'm going to sit it again, because he had two chances. And he's like, why would you sit it again? You pass, like 92 out of 100 is amazing. I'm like, yeah, but I could get more than that. And he just thinks that's hilarious, because he's like, no, pass is a pass. Let's move on. Let's have a drink to celebrate. And I really, really see how there's been a lot of drive behind getting things perfectly perfect and being the one that figures things out, really, really valuing the brain part of me, but also not paying any attention to other parts. So what about my soul? What about my heart? What about this depth of emotion that I can feel? Well, if you'd met me as a 20-something-year-old, I would have been pretty convinced that the value that I had to offer the world was from the neck up. Certainly not through heart, soul, and gut instinct, which are really the three things that I use the most to steer my own life and also to help, mentor and guide clients. So isn't that funny? So yeah, think about your sticky note. And then what were the rules that you were taught about what you needed to do in this role, how you needed to feel in this role, the emotions that you're allowed to feel in that role? And then take a little look around and see whether those rules that were given to you as a little person in your family or caregivers of origin are still playing out in your current life. And if so, are they creating what you want? And I guess the next step for us too is to play a bit of a reframe game. And, obviously in a podcast, I can't lend you all of the tools that I would use in a one-on-one session because I can't hear what you're thinking. That would be cool though, wouldn't it? If I could, no, that would not be cool. Anyway, but yeah, let's play the reframe game. Is this rule true? Is it really true for me right now? Whose story is this? Whose rule is it? When you hear that rule or write down the rule, whose voice does it actually appear in? Yeah, there's definitely rules in my head that are still delivered in my dad's voice, and there's definitely rules in my head that are still delivered by my mum's voice. And to me, that's one of the key things. If it's not that warm, gentle, soothing voice that comes to me when I know my heart is speaking to me, when my soul has actually got the microphone, not my fear-driven brain. When my soul and my heart are speaking to me, it's gentle and it's my voice. And it's a deep, clear inner knowing. And so if something comes to my mind when I'm doing this sort of exercise and it's in someone else's voice, it's definitely not my heart. It's definitely someone else's story. So if the rules that you were given from the sticky note that you were conditioned to step into or expected to play in your family are not working for you now, or if they're creating turbulence or pain or resistance in your life, ask yourself, is this true? Is this rule true? Is it really, really true? Whose story is this? And here's the kicker, and you'll always hear me saying, you are the decider, you are the creator. The kicker question is, do I choose to believe this story? And if I don't believe this story, what new rule do I set for myself? Hey gorgeous, we interrupt this gold for a delicious invitation. If your whole body has been whispering more lately, more voice, more truth, more satisfaction, more clients of the soulmate variety, more cash, more you, then this invitation is for you. Potent, my sister mind is officially open. This is my high touch, holy fuck, I'm ready sister mind for rebels in good girl clothing who are done outsourcing their power and diluting their magic to fit into someone else's business formula. If you have been craving a space where your strategy, your voice, and your energy all get to be offered, honored, refined, and amplified, this is it. Inside of Potent, you'll get my eyes on your business every single week, copy mentoring, and that is for brand copy and content storytelling that turns your truth into client catnip, energetic recalibration that helps you unhook old learned limitation patterns, keeping you quiet, not being seen, not being heard, real-time, high-touch, one-on-one coaching that actually sees the bigness of your vision, and the kind of sisterhood that does not flinch when you show up in your full, messy, brilliant, phoenix rising from the ashes glory. This isn't surface level support. It's deep, potent, paradigm shifting work that changes who you are as a woman in business and a woman in life. We start in August. Early open access is open right now. For the month of June 2025, inside of this early access open doors period, you will receive juicy bonuses, extended payment plans, and access immediately to my entire library of storytelling gold. You'll find all the juicy details at kyliepatchett.com/potent. And we fill spaces, and there's only 10 of them, and more than likely only 5 by the time you listen to this, because by that time I will have offered them to the existing cohort, the beautiful original OG circle. We do actually take applications on a first come, first served basis. So come and apply, and let's get back to the magic of the episode. What new rule do I set for myself? What new rule do I decide? As a decider, you can choose not to recreate this old story. Now, sometimes with this sort of work, there's what will we call them, barriers or resistance to pulling the rules out or pulling the stories out from the unconscious mind. And that can be because there's the potential for you to feel pain. There might be a wounded part underneath this story that doesn't want to be triggered, and so your brain is leaping into protection mode. It could be that you're so ingrained in this reality that you actually can't see that the rule is a story. I've got some examples here in the collective, which is my community, self-healing community that we just opened in November. The first monthly theme that we've been working on is, and this is pretty cool. This is like a choose your own adventure as far as communities go, because the ladies that are inside of the collective actually choose the theme for themselves each month. And then I create coaching content and self-inquiry prompts and a mind, body, breath tool for that month. And the very first pattern that they all identified in our call in November was this rule about I have to work really hard to feel worthy. And so the theme was self-worth does not equal work, work, work. So I'm going to use some of these as examples for you in the podcast. So I'll work through this whole example actually. So who taught you had to work hard to feel and or be worthy? Whose voice was it? Who showed you the pattern? What was the consequence of not working hard to prove your worth? So that's an example of, if you weren't to follow the rule, what would happen? What's the underlying fear? What was the worst case scenario? And often these will be, I would lose the love and approval of the people that I need to survive. So we're talking about, little us that didn't have money or resources or connection or other forms of support outside of our family and or caregivers of origin. And so we needed to, or we were taught, we learnt, we decided for ourselves that we needed to be a particular way to receive love and approval. So something else that could come up around this sort of pattern is things like I need to put my own needs last. I need to work at the expense of my health. I need to provide for everyone else's needs. So see how these are kind of the layers of rules underneath. I have to work really hard to prove my worth. So if we were to apply the reframing questions, so I'll repeat them again. So is this true? Is this really true? Whose story is it? Do I choose to believe this, or am I choosing a different story for myself? An example of that would be if an old rule you were taught was I have to work hard at the expense of my health to prove my worth. Something that could be tried on for size as a new rule is I choose to take care of my own needs first. My work is far more effective and impactful when I show up from this space. Or it could be something like, I believe I can balance my own needs with the needs of others, including, it might be business, career, whatever those big sets of needs are. Or it could be, I do not need to prove my worth. My worth is a given. I think the most important thing with these is when you're doing the reframing exercises and digging underneath whose rules, and when you're choosing rules for yourself, it is not helpful to choose a rule that is the polar opposite of what you are currently creating for yourself if it feels like it is too big a jump. Now, if you're doing this sort of mindset reframing stuff all the time, if you're very aware of the stories you're telling yourself, it may well be that you can go from, I have to work hard to make money, to I trust that money comes to me effortlessly without me trying. If it feels not possible in your body, I would recommend that you just open up. I like to call this opening up the field of possibilities. So maybe there's a potential, or maybe there's a possibility that I don't have to work hard to feel worthy. Maybe I can choose to feel worthy just by being me. Maybe so it's more like those maybe questions. But don't jump from one extreme to the other if it feels too big a jump or too completely wrong in your body, because you will be setting yourself up to fail. It's also really important that the new rules that you are choosing for yourself are expressed in your own language. So if I'm using language and that doesn't feel right to you, it's more than likely because I don't use the same language as you. Like, we've all got different ways of expressing ourselves. We've all got different ways of phrasing things. Like, I love words like magnetic and expansive, and but that's, if I was to get all human designy on you, they're generator words like that. That juices me up, but yours might be completely different. I think the key thing to take away is that if your life is not feeling comfortable, or no, see, I don't ever want my life to feel comfortable. If you are feeling not fulfilled or not motivated, or let's just say not the way you want to. So if your core desired feeling is calm and you're feeling chaotic and stressed, or if your core desired feeling is joy and you're feeling, flat, uninspired, and peed off with the world, it's time to look at whose rules that you're living by. Because when you're living by someone else's rules, by definition, there is no way that you can create what would fulfill you, because you have a unique set of desires and dreams, and you have a unique set of rules that you've learnt. And when they are not aligned to your desires and dreams, you aren't able to magnetize them, create them, claim them in real time. And that's a good thing, because all it's showing you, all your feelings of discontent or lack of motivation or lack of joy or whatever, they're just little signposts. It's like, hey, there's something to look at underneath here. Let's lift up this rock in your unconscious mind and actually ask, whose rules am I living by right now? And the chances are, if you've got a sticky note that came to mind as soon as I said, what role did you play? Then choosing to look at the rules that role was expected to live by, to dream by, to feel by. One of the biggest things with the rules is, good girls. Like, I'm working with a whole set of good girls and people pleasers at the moment. And I think that's a really great example of a coach attracting, similar sort of stories to what she has been taught and healing in herself. And that's where the magic happens, obviously, because, when you know how to heal it, then you know how to mentor through it. And the gift to understanding that the sticky note for the good girl often says, you are not allowed to feel angry. You are not allowed to feel sad. You are not allowed to feel rebellious. You're not allowed to feel pissed off. You're not allowed to feel frustrated, because the good girl is all about keeping the peace, keeping everyone calm, making sure everyone's okay, towing the party line and not rocking the boat, which is all well and good, but it may not create the life that nourishes you, mind, body, and soul. And I would say definitely doesn't, but maybe that's too far. So look at the sticky note, look at the rules. Ask yourself if the rules are actually aligned to who you want to be and how you want to feel and what you want to create in your life. And if they're someone else's stories, or if they're simply not true or they're not helpful, you get to choose. When I was really, really focused on mindset coaching and really, really focused on, there had to be an answer for unraveling this old stuff, like old stories, old traumas, old stuck points. And now living into 2022 with all that's happened in this last 12 months, I am really, really marinating in the fact that sometimes it is as simple as just deciding to pull the rules out into the light, have a good bloody hard look at them and go, well, shit, that's not actually what I want to create for myself, and choosing to live from a different space. Now, that is not to say, this comes with a caveat to say, I'm going to say obviously, but I'm not going to say obviously, because I hate it when someone's talking to me and they say obviously and then they follow up with something I didn't know, because then I think, wait, are they saying obviously because I should know that and I don't? So I'm not going to say obviously. The caveat is that if you are looking at these rules and you cannot even conceive of a different way of being or living out of, then there is always the ability to seek support from, someone, like even a trusted friend. Pulling these out with a trusted friend is really, really helpful. I do have a few friends that I do that with. And we always start the conversation with the story I'm telling myself, or the rule that I'm trying to live by is, it's language that we've, come up with over years and years and years of basically friendship counseling each other. But, if you feel that it's something that you can't dive into by yourself, get some support. Go and find a really good psychologist if that is available to you, or go and find a community of women looking at healing, like the Collective, which will be open in January, FYI, or go and find a coach or a mentor or someone who you trust and feel comfortable with to actually look at this stuff. The other thing that I will say is that I was sharing in the Collective the other day that some of this work that we're diving into, even in this very first month with the self-worth does not equal work. Only just a few years ago would have been something that I probably wouldn't have wanted to dive into for myself. And if I'm really honest, the main thing that I was concerned about was that if I started scratching underneath the surface of my belief systems, if I got really honest with myself, I might be opening up a Pandora's box of like pain or trauma or triggers, or I didn't even really have a concept of what I was opening up. The thing that caused enough pain in my current reality to make me want to go there and trust that I had the strength and the ability and the resilience to actually, face some of the stuff in my unconscious mind was the fact that I got more and more and more and more and more and more aware that my reality, I was following around in the same patterns. I'd find myself in the same pattern. Here we are again, working hard, sacrificing our health, seeking to perfect things. Here we are again, working at night, not getting enough sleep, always making everyone else's needs more important. Here we are again, sacrificing ourselves and getting pissy and resentful at other people who have never asked us to do it for them. So if you find yourself going around and around in patterns and you're really fearful of starting to, I don't know, lift the lid on some of this stuff, I would just share from my experience and the experience of many, many women that I've helped face some of these stories, that you always, always have the strength to face things. And when you can learn how to keep your nervous system nice and calm and grounded, and to do things in a very conscious, trauma-informed, safe environment, that you absolutely have far more to gain and far more impact on your current reality than what you could ever imagine when you feel like the Pandora's box is way too big and way too powerful over you. So that's my quality question to you. What's your sticky note? Whose rules are you living by? I'd love to hear on the podcast. You can leave a review, you can leave comments, you can DM me on Instagram if you don't want to do it in public. But I really, really would love to hear what your sticky note is and what's one of the rules that you've become aware of that you're just like, hell no, and what are you shifting it to? What's your new reality going to be created from? So this is my last solo episode for 2022. I'm recording this the Sunday night before my last week at work for 2022. Those of you who follow me on social media may already know, but my family and I are going through a pretty tough life transition for someone very special to us, and walking alongside someone who, particularly to my little family, is a very, 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 very much loved family member, and it's been fucking tough. It's been really tough. And every time I go through this sort of period in my life, I am just exquisitely grateful for the tools and the resources and the support and the self-awareness that I've fostered for myself, and the self-responsibility. I think as a younger person, my story about when you went through hard stuff was it was just more chaos, more, not life is horrible. I never felt like that, but that life is challenging, and of course it's like this. And now, I don't know, I think it's the wisdom of age and the fact that I've done, a lot of healing around old stories, but I'm just exquisitely grateful for being able to traverse such a really, 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 really difficult time. And it is still difficult, that all the emotions are still there, but to also be able to take the time and the emotional space to take care of myself, take care of the loved ones that are affected by this big transition as well, and to just sit in gentleness and compassion. And so as we draw 2022 to a close, my deep wish for you today and always is that you understand yourself, that you feel yourself and are deeply aware of your own needs and respond to them, even in times of stress, even in times of feeling really stretched. And my hope for you is that you either already have or are inviting in a circle of support of other women or other people. They don't have to be women, but we're bloody good at supporting each other when we're honest. Other women who can hold space for you when you're going through trying times. And I had a beautiful friend of mine text me today, and she said something along the lines of, you can do hard things, and I'm sending you so much love, and I'm here anytime you need to talk. But remember, you can do hard things, and you're strong and you're resilient, and you will get back up every time. And the beauty and the bliss and the joy of life will continue to roll around in the same sphere as the grief and the loss and the pain and the trying times. I also hope that over this Christmas New Year period, you will take some time to sit and reflect on everything that's happened this year, all the gold and the struggle, the challenge, the opportunities for growth, and that you will deeply honor yourself as a woman. We've just gone through, 3 really bloody tricky years, like 2020, 21, 22, like the ups and downs and the COVID and the blah, blah, blah. They've been big. We've gone through a lot. So, please give yourself the time to look back with gratitude and compassion for yourself. Get clear on the lessons that came across your windshield this year and what's calling your attention. Definitely become aware of the rules that aren't helping you and rewrite them. But I'd love to know what you're celebrating, what you're grateful for. And in closing, thank you so much for being here. This podcast has been such a deep well of joy for me this year in ways that I didn't predict and yet have been this most beautiful gift. The podcast is not even 2 months old yet. I've just had so many beautiful stories shared with me and so many conversations and so many guests that are friends from years ago that I've reconnected with. But also, I'm deeply grateful for the connection with you and the messages that you send saying, I got so much out of this story. If she can do that, maybe I can do that. And the changes that you're making in your lives as a result. I'm gobsmacked. I'm deeply honored and deeply, deeply grateful. So enjoy your day wherever you are. By the time you're listening to this, I'll be lying on a beach somewhere, just about to enjoy 3 weeks of rainforest and beach. And if you're going through a hard time, know that you can go through hard things and come out the other side. And sending you so much love. Hello, beautiful. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm just here to celebrate the fact that we have just clicked over 1,000 downloads of this beautiful podcast baby of mine. So funny to think because it's 55 days or 56 days today since I actually had the idea and thought, I'm going to create that and I'm going to share stories and hopefully women will really resonate with all the messages. And you have resonated, you have taken the time to pop in reviews and messages and DMs to me just to say how inspirational all of these guest stories have been. And I'm so, so grateful that you're tuning in. And I'm just wondering if, like me, as we draw to the close of 2022, you're starting to realize that you are quite freaking tired. There's been a lot going on, right, on a global scale in our communities, breaking down of big structures in our society and conditioned belief systems or shared belief systems. And for a lot of people that I know, me included, a lot of stuff going on in personal lives, a lot of taxing, stretching stuff. And the thing is that I hear all the time that we've been taught that we need to keep pushing through. We need to push through to get anywhere. We need to push through the tiredness or the exhaustion. But I'm here to actually offer a different point of view. What if the reverse is actually true? What if the very thing we actually need most to settle our nervous systems, to help our bodies feel safe and our minds to be calm, is actually to rest more? Rather revolutionary, isn't it? I've decided as a gift from me to you for the end of 2022 and as we cross over the threshold into a brand new year, to gift you a beautiful experience called Revolutionary Rest. Revolutionary Rest is a deeply relaxing and restorative yoga nidra experience. It combines body and breath to come into stillness and just to be. And it provides a beautiful respite from all the stress and the busyness and the obligation you might be feeling through the silly season. And I just really, really want you to be able to be gentle with yourselves. Be gentle. Remember that you are a precious, precious, miraculous being and you need to be taken care of as well. So you will find Revolutionary Rest completely free on the podcast website at kyliepatchett.com.au. I really, really hope you enjoy it. I've just listened back to it myself, and as much as it is a little bit weird to do a meditation to your own voice, it is really beautifully relaxing. And it actually is including a few of the tips that I learned in my last week's training and next weekend coming. I've just been joining a beautiful lady in Ireland called Neve Daly, and she has a form of yoga called Instinct Yoga. And the qualification that I'm doing is all about yoga to support the stages of menopause, including perimenopause and menopause and beyond. And one of the big things that we've talked about is that a key for supporting ourselves in our physical, emotional, mental, spiritual health, everything, is to come to stillness and rest so much more than what we do. So I hope you'll take me up on my offer as a gift from me to you. Merry Christmas if you celebrate, and Happy New Year if you're listening to this in January. Have a beautiful, beautiful day. Thanks, guys. Bye.